Hello everybody, I am Dr. Farhan Zamir, an adjunct professor and academic specialist at Biotecnika, Bangalore. For today, we are here to have a very important discussion on the resources which have been available for studying bioinformatics. So let us try to understand them and dive into the video. Now, as I told you, today's discussion is very important, and however, we are trying to understand the resources which are being necessary to understand and learn bioinformatics. So this video is dedicated for the complete best books to learn bioinformatics. So to start upon, rather than me directly going into the resources, I want to tell you about a preamble of what exactly is learning. Learning is a systematic accumulation or gaining up of knowledge. This could be either in form of theory or this could be in a form of a practical. So I can have a practical learning component or I can have a theoretical learning component. Remember, with both of this put together, I am still gathering knowledge. And this knowledge could be applied onto something which can actually be very much fruitful or reproducible at the later part of your life. Now, learning can happen in 4 different ways. We are from the Gurukul age, and very importantly, the classical type of learning happens in the classroom learning, wherein you have a resourceful person, your teacher, and this teacher would have gained knowledge, and the systematic dissipation of this knowledge will happen from the teacher to the student, and this is your classroom learning. However, given a time and opportunity, if you have the zeal of traveling, you can also gain knowledge, or you can learn things by traveling through the globe, and this is another second type of learning. Thanks to the technology, because of the advent of technology, now the new system of learning, which we call it as virtual system of learning, wherein everything is on the world wide web, www, and from there, whatever queries I have, I will have an opportunity to sit into a particular place and then study whatever or the subject in which you have been totally interested with. So this is the virtual learning. But however, my all-time favorite is going to a library, opening up a book, and then reading from the mother material. So I would always consider reading from the textbook. You have the feel of gaining knowledge, and this learning will actually remain as a photographic memory in your brain and will be embossed onto your memory centers. So with this as a preamble, so let us learn what are the major resources for learning bioinformatics. So in terms of books, today's video will be dedicated on the top 14 or 15 books on which learning process of bioinformatics becomes much more easier. Now, to start with bioinformatics, thanks to Madam Margaret. So, Margaret Oakley was the person who started. Basically, she was a protein chemist. So she survived between 1925 and 1983. And later, in her the span of life, what she did was she has dedicated her entire learning process onto protein sequencing and structures, and she has published a book on Atlas of Protein Sequence and Structure, which was in 1967. So Margaret and Richard were the two authors, and here Margaret was the person who actually came up with the cross-disciplinary fields, which actually began from 1960, because until then, people were very much specific with their branches of science. So if I am doing physics, I would do a classical physics, or chemistry, classical chemistry, or if I'm doing biology, it would be classical genetics, or microbiology. Now, Margaret was a person who came up with an idea of amalgamating all living systems, understanding their evolutionary concepts, understanding their phylogenetic concepts, understanding the history of the gene or a protein, and hence she made it a point that we understand life in a much better way. I humbly request you people to read this book, which is from Margaret Oakley, that is Computer Analysis and Protein Evolution, which has been published in 1969 from Scientific American Association. Now, after Margaret's breakthrough, a combination of putting up all subjects together and understanding the biology in terms of computer, then it was David Mount who actually released a beautiful book which was called as Bioinformatics and Sequence and Genome Analysis. Now, this is considered as a Bible for bioinformatics. It is my all-time personal favorite because any point of time I have a doubt or a query, normally I go into this particular book, and everything from the basics to the advanced is present in this book. So, as a bioinformatician, it is a must and a must to study this particular or read this particular book. Now, the second book would be The Bioinformatics and Principle by Zuma and Bacon. So these are the authors who actually have transformed the difficult components of bioinformatics into the much more simpler complex. It has been published from the Oxford publishers. So I would again urge you people to read this book. Now, the third book, which is again from a Springer publication, which is from Sheikh Khalid and Ramu. This is on Essentials of Bioinformatics Volume 2, especially in silico life sciences and medicine. Now, this is again a beautiful volume containing all the interesting components of proteomics, genomics, transcriptomics, and metabolomics. So anybody who is planning to do their research or a postdoc or even write a proposal on bioinformatics, I would request you people to read this particular book. Now, the other important resource is from the Lambert publications, which is from Amish and from Vinod Chandra, who have published a book on bioinformatics for beginners. Now, this bioinformatics for beginners is a classical handbook for all the beginners. Not necessarily they should be from a biology background, from any technical background, say for example from computational biology or from just from computers or computer science or from information technology. This is a handbook which will actually enable to understand bioinformatics from scratch. Moving on further, another Springer published book is Advances in Bioinformatics by Vijay Singh and Ajay Kumar, who are the editors of this particular book. And again, it talks about the advanced topics. So how can I have the primary data? And with the primary data, how do I analyze the secondary data and tertiary data? This book gives you a lot of comprehensive data on understanding the advances in bioinformatics. Now, certain components when it is made as Indianized, because bioinformatics, when we talk in terms of Western world, everything in terms of high-end technology, buzzing technology would be written in the advanced books. But however, thanks to Rastogi, okay, these are the people who have actually made bioinformatics much more easier and understandable for the Indian population. Now, if you are a student who says, sir, I am mediocre in my English language, I don't want a very tough English language, which is a bit difficult to understand. So in that way, Rastogi and Rastogi have made an effort that they are Indianized version of David Mount. Okay, so this is called as Bioinformatics Methods and Application, which would cover the genomics, proteomics, and drug discovery component. So if you are a beginner and if you still want to dwell more about bioinformatics, so this is a book which has to be read by you people. And very importantly, the very advantage component of Rastogi and Rastogi is they keep on updating the book and in forms of volumes. And if you see this is the 4th edition of the book, and hence most of the advanced and recent topics are being explained in this book. Now, moving on further, again, my all-time favorite book is The Introduction to Bioinformatics by Arthur Lusk. Lusk is a beautiful writer. Now, you can just imagine the quantum of work which has gone in just preparing this particular cover page. Now, this talks about the diversity of analysis which could be done from, say, for example, from an ant to a whale to a rhinoceros. So here, what they are trying to do is, the author Lesk has actually illustrated very, very systematically in terms of the smallest organism to the complex organism. So from a quadrata to a quadrata, how exactly analysis and diversity varies, this component could be understood. And for most of the beginners, if you are well versed with certain terminologies already which have been used in information technology or computer sciences, I think for the coding component or to understanding certain components of Perl and Python, introduction by Bioinformatics by Lusk actually is a great boon. Now, the next book is The Introduction to Bioinformatics by Atwood and Parry Smith. This is also a classical book which will aid the student to understand the basic foundations of bioinformatics. Now, this book is mainly dedicated towards the genomics and proteomics. So if you are a beginner and who wants to learn about the cell and molecular biology concepts and adapt those concepts onto bioinformatics, I think this is one of the most recommended book. Moving on further, another book which actually says that it is bioinformatics for beginners, a comprehensive guide to bioinformatics for beginners, is by Maxwell James. Again, a very good author who has simplified bioinformatics to the core so that anybody from any field can utilize the material, learn the material very easily. And I would also recommend you people to read this particular book. And many a times these books are available for free online as an e-copy. But a humble request is, please buy a copy, because this copy will not cost you more. Buy a copy, spend the cost of that one pizza on a book, because pizza will get digested and it's gone, but book will remain with you. And this is the biggest asset what you can keep for yourself. Another very, very interesting book which has been published by Ville is Bioinformatic Challenges at an Interface of Biology and Computer Science. And remember the caption, such a beautiful caption. It says as "Mind the Gap." Now, as the book itself illustrates that this is trying to put up certain challenges in terms of bioinformatics. Now, most of the crucial components, like how do I have a Ramachandran plot? Now, how do I apply a Ramachandran plot in understanding the protein torsion angles, psi angles or pi angles? This could be analyzed. If I have an RNA, because the other books just talks about the genome, but if I have the components of the genome, example, not restricting to just DNA, but if I have RNA, again in RNA, I have types of RNA. How can these types of RNA could be analyzed is beautifully illustrated by Teresa, Stephen, and David as authors. And I would request you people to, read this book for your better understanding in bioinformatics. Now, another book is the Bioinformatics. The title itself is Bioinformatics. And here, if you look into it, there is two bifurcations. There's a deciphering of the word of bio and informatics. So here, this is a book by Perry and Soren. The authors have tried to make the the audience or the reader understand the computational part of it. So the informatic part of biology and the coding component could be utilized for a lot of research or research related activities. Now, very importantly, if you have some big data, now how exactly I can use this big data for my analysis has been well illustrated. And once that data is an array data, it could be either protein array data or a microarray data, which would help in understanding the expression pattern of any organism. So for understanding those kinds of an advanced topic, I would recommend you people to read Bioinformatics, wherein you're learning the machine learning languages, okay, with bioinformatics. And other simpler book to for BSc students is Bioinformatics Basic Algorithm and Application by Ruchi and Richa Sharma. So these are, this is another Indianized version which opens up doors for Indian students to understand the basics of bioinformatics. And I would also recommend you people to read this particular book. Moving on further, I have Bioinformatics, a practical manual. Now, this is by Kasturi and Lakshmi. Okay, you know, with their experience, when I read this book, I understand with their experience, they have actually written this book. So it is not the summation of certain other books or the summary of certain other books. So here, it actually gives you a practical manual or like an SOP so that you can follow a standard protocol and execute your bioinformatics data. Say, for example, if you want to do a sequence alignment using BLAST, how exactly this has to be done? Or if you want to analyze the multiple sequence using ClustalW, how exactly this could be done? Or if you want to draw up a phylogenetic data, all these informations in terms of a practical SOP, step-by-step SOPs have been given by Bioinformatics, a practical manual by Kasturi and Lakshmi. Another great author, which has been published by Pearson's publisher, is Bioinformatics and Computing. So it is like Bioinformatics continuous computing. So this means to say there is no end. Any point of time when we start with bioinformatics, a computational component comes as a combination. So this is by Brian, a learned person in bioinformatics, and also a lot of effort has been put towards the programming component on Python, Perl, and Java. So if you are into writing codes and algorithm, I would recommend you people to read this particular book. Now, before if you are an enthusiast in bioinformatics, and if you say that, sir, I want to read more, dwell more on bioinformatics, there are other set of books which would not directly reflect on bioinformatics, but these are the books which will talk about the foundation which is actually required, because bioinformatics is not just one subject. It comes with a combination of biology, comes with combination of information technology, some part of mathematics, lot of statistics, and then computer science. So all these books would actually help you out. Now we have listed 5 books for you people, which will actually help you in understanding the basic foundation. Among the all, for me, the Cell by Alberts is my all-time favorite. So this is one book what I would recommend for understanding cell and cellular related mechanisms. Then the next book is by T.A. Brown, which is Gene Cloning and DNA Analysis, an Introductory Component. It is a very small book, but on the way, very, very powerful. Now, if you are able to understand the wet lab component through T.A. Brown and then apply the same components in terms of computational biology, this would be a great hit. And the way you interpret the data, the way you see data will entirely change. Then you have advances in bioinformatics and computational biology, and then advance in structure biology and experimental medicine. So here, certain things are being collaborated so that you understand the application component of bioinformatics in terms of medicine, in terms of computational biology, in terms of experimental research. The authors have been made an effort to open up a larger avenue for the readers, so that understanding biology, they have an application part of it, and understanding the application part of it, they have an allied component of it. And concepts like AI, machine learning, deep learning, all these concepts have been well illustrated in this particular book. So at the end, what I want to say is, please keep your book as the best friend, because many a times all your real friends will at a point they will leave you. But remember, book is one component, book is one friend which will never leave you, and every point of time when you read, your knowledge will always enhance and it will not deteriorate. So with this, we uh, would request you to leave a feedback, and also tell us about, did you like the video? And if you want to know more about the resources, maybe it could be web pages, or it could be tools, it could be applications, it could be computational languages. So please let us know, so we'll be able to make up more videos for you, so that you can learn this advanced science which is called as bioinformatics, which is the boom for the next 10 years. So with this, I would wind up the video, I would sign off. Thank you very much for your patience and your time. So at Biotecnika, we make an effort so that any kind of assistance to our students can actually bring in success, and your success is our motivation. So thank you very much. Take care.